name is Tom White, 72 years old right now.
Yeah, I'm Don Milton, and I started hunting about 40 years ago in Arizona.
I got started when I was 18 years old.
One morning before daylight, we were headed out to go lion hunting. And both Tom and I, over the years, learned you never know what's going to happen out there, so we kind of carried a chuck box in our pickups. Well, Tom had a real young grandson that was going with us quite a little bit. I don't remember his age, but he was pretty small. And he'd get in there and he'd open something up and just eat part of it, and that was it. Well, before this, I said, Tom, you got mice in here. I'd see some mice droppings, you know. And he said, I don't know how. But anyway, one morning before daylight, we're going along there, and Tom reached back and he got him something. And I don't remember what it was, a donut or something. He's chewing on it. And he said, I didn't know this was supposed to have no sprinkles on it. And he's just chewing away. Pretty soon turned on the dome light, and it was mouse turds that he was chewing on. He starts gagging. Oh my God, oh my God.
Well,
He did not find it funny at the very beginning, I promise, but this has been several years ago.
It was those little old donuts with that coconut flakes on it, you know, normally. And I was chewing on it. I said, there's something wrong with this. And then turned the light on, and then we saw those mouse pills on there. I said, oh my goodness. I went ahead and got me a chuck box that you can seal, you know, and set mouse traps in the pickup and got that all cleaned up. Everybody gives me a hard time about that.
Oh, he didn't take it well the first year or so. I know when I'd get to laughing and teasing him about it, he just, oh my gosh, you know. But it's been enough years past, he kind of finds it funny today and time.
Yeah, it's plumb funny. I remember a time when I didn't even all I had a pickup and a set of stock racks on it. And I'd jump a horse up in there, horse would jump up in the pickup, and then just jump my dogs up in there in the same pickup with the horses. And horse would never step on a dog or nothing. Then we'd go, and I'd never heard about rigging a bear or rigging a lion, but somehow or another it kind of come natural. We'd be going down the road and all them dogs would just blow up once in a while. And I thought maybe, you know, I didn't think much about it at first, and then I got to thinking, well, maybe I better check for tracks and see what they're doing. And so we kind of evolved from just throwing dogs and horses in a pickup and going down the road, and once in a while they'd blow up, and finally decided, well, they're barking at something. So then we went ahead and built a dog box and let them get up on the dog box and start rigging. I told that story one time on the computer. I used to listen to that computer stuff. I don't anymore. They kind of laughed at me. So that's one of the reasons I quit looking at it. I didn't invent rigging, but I came across it accidentally. I've rigged 2 lions in my life and caught them, and I thought they was bears. They had to have been extremely hot, you know, crossed right in front of me. But one of them was over in Cloudcroft country, and the dogs blew up. I set them down. And they didn't go, you know, a mile, and treed. And I thought, well, we got that bear treed, and went up there, and sure enough, there's a big old Tom lion. I said, wow, never done that before. And he jumped out of the tree and went another half a mile and treed again. I didn't harvest that lion. I just petted him up good. It happened once over in the Capitan Mountains. I rigged a big old Tom lion, and I put the dogs on it, and it was over there, and I forgot the name of that canyon, Michaelis Canyon.
Michaelis.
Rocky, cactus, brushy, rascal. Went up there and treed that lion up on a bluff, and I had a little old cur dog I got from Cal Allen, and she's a good dog, but she jumped up on that bluff with that lion. He bit her through the neck, busted her veins, and killed her right quick.
I heard about
then that line knocked Toby off the bluff, and my son-in-law had a picture of him. He was videoing Toby up on this bluff and fighting that line. The line knocked him off the bluff, and he seen Toby going end over end back over behind him, hit the ground way back there. And he said, well, the line just got through killing Lady, and he said, I guess Toby's probably dead. And I said, well, dadgummit, shoot that line or something, you know. So I was working my way around there, and here comes Toby walking around. So, well, didn't kill him.
That's a dog that had 9 lives.
I swear. And so I got him around there at the bottom of that bluff and tied him up because I know he's going to go right back. And then we went around there, and we wasn't really going to shoot the line, but all of a sudden he bailed off there and come right down on Toby, working him over. Didn't hurt him, but that's the first time that we tied him up to keep him from getting hurt, and the line got him, didn't hurt him. But then that next time we tied him up to keep that bear from getting him, and the bear went down there and got a hold of him. But yeah, that's the 2 lines that I've rigged off a truck.
We got to know an outfitter out at Tijeras, New Mexico, and he was really intrigued with Tom and I being the way we come up, and he was a lot older than we were, but he had retired. He was an F-16 fighter pilot for all these years, and I found his life more intriguing than when I found my own, but he come up and had a bear hunter, and we dogs had smelled a bear, but they're cold trailing him down there. And Jack said, I said, this is going to take a while. And by the way, the dogs were sounding. He said, well, I've got to go to the bathroom. I said, okay. And so he went kind of down off of that hill, and we're listening to the dogs work this bear track. And all at once he got to hollering. Well, that bear had heard them dogs, and he's leaving out, trying to put distance between him and them, and run right into Jack with his pants down below his knees, and he went to screaming and didn't know what to do. That bear, it scared the bear worse probably, because the bear just treed right there, you know. And finally the dogs caught up with him, but he said, oh my gosh, he said, I got to come out here and help you guys tree a bear. And he said, I'd had a sausage burrito. So for years after that, we would tease him, well, did you get that burrito? We may need your help, you know.
But that bear took, he was like number 10, the skull measured number 10.
In Safari Club International.
Oh, for Safari Club, that's what it was,
yeah. But
he was within the top 10 Safari Club. I never did hear the final positioning of that bear, but it's a big bear.
Yeah, yeah. Had a big igloo ice chest to skin the bear out, and we actually had to turn that bear's head sideways to get it into the ice chest. And our deal has always been to train puppies. Watch a pup, turn it on, and make a good dog. But we both have found over lots of years, back in the early days, a hound was a hound. But we've found out that just like when you get a cow horse, you know, it kind of comes to him natural if that's the way he's bred up. And it's the same way with the dogs. You breed up for real cold-nosed dogs to hunt in the dirt. I prefer to hunt in the dirt. You're not slipping and sliding around. I never hunted snow till I moved up here. And but like I said, my enjoyment the last 15, 20 years of me hunting had been taking a dog that knew nothing, and I usually had the mom and the dad, but watching that dog really just like flipping the light switch on in here. Sometimes you worry about them, and then all at once you don't really know what the reason is, but that dog just clicks, and he's going from that point on. But I've been fortunate. Riley Miller is another gentleman, and somebody that you needed to talk to. I missed meeting Dale Lee by about 2 months, and he was living in South Texas with Billy and Bonnie Pat McKinney until illness was really just getting him. He couldn't go lion hunting anymore, and Billy Pat would come in, and he said Dale Lee would be sitting there, and he was on oxygen. He said, "Well, sit down here and tell me what happened today." And he said if I'd done it the least little bit wrong, Dale Lee would just chew him up. He started failing in health, and he took him up to Riley Miller's, and he stayed with Riley Miller for quite a long time until it was evident that he wasn't going to make it, so Riley took him all the way back to Tucson, Arizona, when he finally passed away. But over the years, I've met some quality lion hunters and bear hunters, and then you got your outlaws too. I'm trying to think. My first hounds, and I can't remember the guy that I bought a couple of dogs from in Arizona. Anyway, I bought a couple of dogs, and I can remember the price. I gave $25 a piece for them back in them days. And but that's how I got started.
I got a pup or two and didn't have enough sense to know how to train them, and I think I ruined the first 2 or 3 dogs I ever had because I was hard on them. And finally modified some of my training techniques and learned a lot of things from, well, trial and error. And I think my first really good dog, he's 14 years old. His name was Buck, and I got him from a fella called Sonny Wright. Some people may know Sonny Wright. He's had several ranches around. He's hunted with dogs, I guess, most of his life. But I traded a young dog for that old dog. He knew he wasn't going to live very long, and he just wanted to get some new blood. Old Buck was a good dog. He was a cold nose. He'd been on lots of lions and bears. And old Buck he'd fight a bear by himself. And amazingly enough, he never got hurt too bad, but he kind of got me going, and I learned a lot just watching old Buck. He knew more than I did, you know. I think oftentimes the dog knows more than the hunter does, and you just got to let them do what they do and try to understand what's going on. And of course, they don't always do right, but I mean, you take an old dog like that, I guarantee you he knew twice as much as I knew about hunting. The early years of hunting, you know, I started hunting. I didn't even I had collars on my dogs so I could chain them up, but I thought when they come out with these nameplates, that's a giant step. You know, if you lost a dog, somebody could call you. And so that was our first introduction to technology. You get a little brass nameplate with your phone number on it, and that helped. And then they come up with shocking collars, and I guess Dale Lee was a big part of the invention of those shocking collars. But the first few collars wasn't very good, but they did work. And it reminds me of a female dog that I broke running deer. She was really bad on deer, but she's a good bear dog. And before I got a shocking collar, I come up with this idea: I need to shock her. And so I got a cattle prod, hooked it into my gun rack on my truck, and then I wired it into a couple of bolts on a collar, and I used a plug-in on an extension cord. So I let her wear that collar with the bolts in it and with a little plug-in socket. I'd snap her up on my dog box, and then I just plugged that in. And I went along and found a bunch of deer, and she just blew up. And of course, I just sat down on that cattle prod, probably a little longer than I should have, but from that day on, she never run another deer the rest of her life. She flipped over on that box and just went to kicking and squalling. Well, I thought, my wife said, "You're going to kill her," and I said, "Well, I might." But she quit running deer. I went out after that and found some more deer, and it had been raining. I put her on them. As soon as she smelled those deer, she come all the way back and got in the seat of my pickup and just sat there I ain't running deer no more. So that broke her. But coming along with the shock and collars was a really giant step for us to be able to train dogs and break them off for running deer and elk. And we were going along. I was guiding for Johnny Hamilton. He had some bear hunters. We were going along up that ski run road, and the dogs rigged pretty hard, and I just stopped and dumped them off. Johnny said, "Oh my goodness," he said, "look at here, there's a trail. It's just full of elk tracks." And I said, "Don't worry about it, Johnny. It's okay." He said, "Man, I ain't turning my dog loose." I said, "Well, that's fine. I turned all of them loose, and they went about a quarter mile up there and treated a real nice bear. And you know, once you get them dogs broke, well, you don't worry about what the tracks are there. If they're doing what they're supposed to do, they'll go do their thing. It don't matter if they go through herds of elk or deer. That was when I was hunting real hard and I had confidence in them. I'd never bet my life on what a dog's going to do, but
No,
but
no.
I've had some pretty good confidence in some of them. And then they come along with the tracking collars, and some of those trackers has caused me to wear out 3 or 4 sets of shoes in the wrong direction. But I'm not down playing the tracker. I still got them because they'll tell you if you're treeing or not. Mm-hmm. But I got the GPS collars now and all that stuff, and oh man, that's a good deal. Saves you lots of walking. You might find a road up there a little closer, then you can go around and come in a shorter way. Technology's come a long way.